what is the biggest misconception that people have of Databricks that they couldn't be any more wrong?
I think the biggest misconception is, well, don't I need like hardcore engineers to use Databricks? Um, and isn't it like complex? I would say 7 years ago that was the case, for sure. But from the top down, like Ali has been telling the engineering folks to make things simpler, not more powerful. We really want to increase our user base and make the product more accessible. So I would think like, and I thought that was going to take a really long time. I got to be honest. I joined this company 6 years ago, about 6 years ago. I thought it was going to take us like 10 years to simplify the product. I mean, it's pretty big surface area. Um, but Gen AI actually came in and blew the socks off of everybody 3 years ago, completely changed the game for everybody. And we've been able to use Gen AI along with the maturity of the other AI capabilities to really make the system smarter about how it gives you great performance and low cost and without having to like manually mess around with a bunch of knobs. But then also like how to like use the product in a very simple way to not have to like take 40 hours of training just to know how to put together a dashboard. So that's kind of like I think Gen AI really pushed us farther faster than what we would have done. I think it would have taken us a lot longer. But what happened, 3, 4 years ago now with ChatGPT or GPT, the general pre-trained transformer, and all the investment that's gone into it since then, it's really kind of changed the game.
So it's not necessarily that Databricks hasn't made performance a priority, but more that more of a weight has been put into making sure that it's accessible to not necessarily your hardcore Spark engineers. Would you say that's a fair statement?
Yeah, yeah. So we spent a considerable amount of engineering time and money on Spark is great. It was originally built for like every use case, and it does not it wasn't like a solely built thing. And if you look back, like Meta, Google, Facebook before that, but LinkedIn, like a lot of these companies who were doing social or the cutting edge stuff 10 years ago, they were all using Apache Spark and they all had to tune, they all had like very expensive, very smart engineers to be able to tune all the knobs for their specific use cases. And that served them great. But if you want to cross the chasm and address the market, like the entire market, you got to make the product more palatable. One of my favorite books on this has a chapter on the subject, um, "The Voltage Effect" by John List. One of the chapters talks about how the Honeywell product team was developing the first smart thermostat, and it was amazing. It got rave reviews from all the engineers. All the engineers that are working on it, all the engineering staff at Honeywell were raving about it internally. It was like all the rage. And they went to go sell it in the marketplace. Everybody loved it. They said this is going to be great. Sales were flat. Nobody's buying it. They didn't understand why. They bring in like these economists and they start evaluating it. And it's because the thing was developed by engineers for engineers. And the regular person didn't know how to use this thing. So it wasn't selling to the mass market. And he called it the Spock versus Homer problem. Engineers will develop something for Spock, which is a very small part of the population. Most of the population is more like Homer Simpson, where it needs to be super duper simple for them to grok it. So I think if you want to be able to cross that chasm into mass market adoption, you have to make the platform super duper simple for the average person, and that's kind of the guiding star there. And like if you can't make it accessible to everybody, it's not gonna take off, right?
When you're out in the field, what is the one thing that Databricks does that you almost never have to argue with customers about it or try to convince them about it? Like, what's the one thing that Databricks just almost every single time just kind of speaks for itself as to its value?
ETL and machine learning, or like actually more primitive than that, data engineering and machine learning. and that like Databricks is the way to go. And if it's machine learning and AI, I mean, hands down. So I would say data engineering and machine learning.